So this is going to be a short video just to show you how to get, I guess, Node running or making simple Node applications inside Visual Studio Code. The very first one is going to be very familiar, kind of a hello world example. There is one caveat. There's two things you would need to have done previous to this. You would have to install Visual Studio Code, the product we see here, and also have downloaded and installed Node.js. I think I installed 15.2. Not quite sure. We'll see along the way. In that. So if you've installed those two products, then I'm just going to go ahead and make a new folder. That's how I like to start. And so I'm going to just make a new folder. And we'll go, let's go demo node 01. Let's go hello. All right, something real simple. So we'll let it get warmed up. So when I come in, it's just a blank folder. Visual Studio Code doesn't actually add anything to it yet. You might see npm scripts here. That might be turned off by default. So I think that's the new setting, is to have that turned off by default. It'll come in more handy later on once we start installing software. It wouldn't take effect right now. What we're missing is a package.json, so that tool won't actually help us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and create a folder. You can click here or right click here, new file. I'm just going to call it main.js. Now that's not what you're typically going to see out there. You're going to see app.js, but I teach a Python course and we always start off with a main.py. And so what I want to do is keep it as similar to that course as possible in that. And so we usually start off with some comments. In Python, it's the hashtag. Here it's the double slash, which is common in Java, C#, and I guess JavaScript. It'll work in those languages. And so simple test of Node. This is more about, is it actually installed and working in that. So we're not going to do anything fancy here, but just prove that we've got the products kind of installed the way we want, and that Visual Studio can actually find Node in that. So what I need to do is actually do something. In my Python course, we often print, and so the equivalent in JavaScript land would be like a console.log. And I will go, welcome to. So that's this current course I'm teaching now. And sometimes semicolons are optional in that. Sometimes it's good to put them in, depending on what settings are set up. So we'll put it in for now. And the thing is would be, well, how would I then run this code in front of me in Visual Studio? So let's open up a terminal, new terminal. And that I have the default shell set to the command line. Sometimes it's set to the PowerShell, so you can change that there. Select default shell, and you'll be prompted to which one you want to use. So I can just type in Node to see if it's there. Typically you want to version it. I'm guessing on that's being the switch, and so I guess I installed 15.1 in that. And so then the question would be, well, how do I run it? In my Python course, if we had a main.py file, although the tooling helps us run it, it basically goes Python space the name of my file. So here I just go node space the name of my file, main.js. So that would be this file up here. Okay. I'm down in this directory. We can do a dir later and prove that. It says, so welcome to JST 7132. And I'll just do a dir because I'm at the command line on Windows, right? If you're on Linux, you're doing ls. in that. And so we can see the file there. And so all we're trying to do in this video is, okay, what do I need? Well, Visual Studio Code is not a bad place to start, but you are going to need Node installed on your machine too. Usually the default install sets up the paths so that everything can be found for Windows. I believe it's an MS file that gets downloaded. And Visual Studio Code, it has an integrated terminal, and as long as Node sets the environment up right, then the terminal here will find it. Okay, so what we'll do is in a future video, we're going to, of course, add a little bit more stuff and sort of try to interact with the user. So the mode here is, if I'm already used to doing something like Python at the command line, or even building desktop applications, I want to take a similar approach with Node. I know it's usually typically used to build a custom web server, like with the Express framework, and we can build up to that. But when we're just starting out, maybe keep it as simple as possible. Don't get the web involved, because then you're like, well, how do I get, we're making web forms in HTML, and then we're grabbing values out of the web form to try to get something done. So let's try to keep it really simple here in terms of what kind of an app that we want to make, just so we can get used to the Node part. And then Express is its own sort of thing, the Express framework within Node, which is specifically for making a custom web server, which is, again, sort of another level, but we just want to keep it nice and simple. What is this thing? JavaScript running at the command line, where it typically runs inside the browser. That's all for now.